sure that I put it up on the screen. I'm sorry. I'll make sure we put all the audio together after the show. But it is what it is. So again, the God is in you. What was that? Who did that? It was two sisters, right? They did this gospel song called "The God in You." That is so powerful. And I don't think a lot of even really religious people understand what that means. It means you should look internal to find God. God put a code inside of you. All the instructions of what he wants you to do or the universe wants you to do on this planet is inside of you. You got to dig deep enough to find it out. You got to put the distractions to the side. People get distracted with relationships. I never thought I was going to get married because I never needed a woman. There's too many women out here. Why do I need just one when I can have as many as are attracted to me? Never made any sense to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'll say it again. Men, you are the prize. You are the prize, not the other way around. What I need one for when I can have five and they all do different things or we have different conversations. That's how I used to look at it until I found a woman who I thought, oh, okay, this is a partner right here. Now, I understand partnership. I understand that. Two people working actively for the similar goal. We're going to get our goals quicker. I love that. Man, I remember about 2 years ago, I got asked to come over to Reverend Lynch's church. They were doing like a single sort of relationship thing. And I was asked to be on a panel. And what I shared, quite honestly, some people in the audience didn't like it. I said the same thing I'm saying right now. What you need a partner for? Why are you all caught up with a partner? I don't get it. You are your own partner. Why you want to be married? Well, I want somebody to love me. Wrong answer. That's not what marriage is about. That's not what, if you're trying to find somebody to love you, fall in love with yourself. Marriage is a partnership in which you're loving somebody else. That's what marriage is about. Marriage is about giving love, not necessarily always receiving love. People don't understand that. I think it's some of that grass is greener kind of stuff. And again, our society has completely brainwashed some women when it comes to what life is all about. Our society has brainwashed some women into believing that life is about finding some dude and having a bunch of kids. Negative. Unless having children is what is deep inside of you. Like you got that strong maternal instinct. A lot of women who have kids don't really have that. You just had kids because you didn't want to have an abortion or you married or your mama had a bunch of kids. So you figure like that's what you should do. Right. But that's not really what you really wanted. It's just some things that once you open that door, you committed. It is what it is. It don't matter what you want. Having kids is one of those kind of things. Relationships, long-term marriages, one of those kind of things. Be careful. That's all I'm here to say. Be careful. Know what you're doing. Think it all the way through and make sure you're doing it because that's what you want to do. I'll say it again, man. Two qualities, the two best qualities in a woman is a strong mind and a soft heart. Two of the best qualities in a woman. And that first one is number one. A woman that's in control of her emotions, not emotions controlling her. If you match intelligence and everything else with it, it's the most powerful thing in the world. Women are so powerful. But a lot of them get psyched out because they listen to all these different voices. Man, chill with all that. The God is in you. Let me see. Let me go to the phones here. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey. This is your West Side Connection, Drop Squad 52, calling in from the left coast. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Having some technical difficulties, but I'm doing great nonetheless. Welcome.
Man, Mr. Ivey, ain't nothing new, sir. I done been with you for a minute, so you're going to push through like you always do.
Absolutely.
I want to give a shout out to Dr. Corinne. Outstanding interview, outstanding responses to the questions. And I think in 2020, Nate, that book should not only be for women, it should be for men as well. Because some of our young black men, they're not getting the proper guidance and direction from their mothers. And if they have fathers in their lives, it could be conflict with the mother. And unfortunately, in the case of Mr. Blake, 2 nights ago in Kenosha, Wisconsin, that looked like that was all because of some baby mama drama. Now, again, Mr. Ivey, we don't have all the details, but just like in the George Floyd case, it was something that shouldn't have happened. It was, and again, we don't have all the details. It was only one video, cell phone video released from across the street. And it didn't start until we see Mr. Blake come from the passenger side of the car where he was, I guess, talking to the 2 women, trying to break up whatever. And he came walking around. So somebody on the other side of that vehicle, Mr. Ivey, who was there from the beginning with their phone out, when fisticuffs started flying between those 2 baby mamas, somebody was looking to post something on World Star. So there's going to be more videos coming out, and I think the latest report that he had a knife. I don't know if that's the truth. You got to trust but verify. But in a news report this morning, they said a knife was found. Now, again, whenever the videos come out from the other side of that vehicle, from the very beginning, before the police showed up, because we don't even know who called the police. It could have been the baby mama that called the police. We don't know. So it was an unfortunate incident, and people are addressing it. Last night in the NBA Finals, which I was going between the NBA and the Republican convention. If you'll give me a minute, I'll talk about that later. But in the post-game interview in the NBA Finals playoff game, Chris Paul, he was being interviewed by the reporter. And he listened to her question, and right off the top, Chris Paul said, I want to give condolences to the family of Mr. Blake, who was shot, something along those lines. He started right off the top, Nate, talking about that incident and how more work needs to be done, and we got to, so things are going to start coming out about this incident, and hopefully, Nate, that the truth will come out in this case. And thank God that the young man is going to live. But again, Mr. Ivey, outstanding guest, great book. I'm going to try to look for it. And that's all I got, except if you want my opinion on the convention, which
I want your opinion on the convention. You already know.
You going to ask me a question about it, or you want me to just give my straight up opinion?
I want to hear your just straight up opinion.
Okay. Straight up opinion, Nate. When it first came on, I turned it on because last night the NBA playoffs were on, so I was going back and forth. But I wanted to see the intro. And Mr. Ivey, the video ads and the video spots in the convention last night were top 10. I mean, these videos and these ads, Mr. Ivey, they were as good as the Lincoln Project. Because the DNC, I don't know what the hell they doing in the Joe Biden campaign, Mr. I don't know what they doing. But anyway, the videos were outstanding. Some of the speakers were over the top. Kimberly Guilfoyle, and but some of the other speakers, Mr. Ivey, given their personal experiences with the one-on-one with Donald Trump, and he's trying to turn the fire down on his image. It's going to be hard, but everything last night, Mr. Ivey, for the first night, I would give the convention a 7.5. I said 8 in the chop shop, but
really, since
then I've been rethinking it. But the 7 comes from all the black people that I saw, and obviously Herman Cain couldn't be there. Rest in peace. But there were a lot more people than the 2 black Republicans that Mr. Mahler always mentions. Tim Scott, I've heard his speech many times, but all the black faces that I saw, Mr. Ivey, just on night 1, and the heavy hitter black faces, like the Candace Owens, the Diamonds and Silk, the Larry Elders, you know who I'm talking about. That black, not Democrat group. that Black Votes Matter group, that Blexit group, that Hold Our Vote Hostage group, that We Want Tangibles group. Those people were being shown last night, and they just gave a little taste of what's coming in day 2, 3, and 4. So overall, I give the convention a 7, 7.5 because of the ads. The ads were outstanding, but some of the speakers were just way, way, way over the top. And I'm talking about the ones in his family. But all the other people, great stories that a lot of people just do not know because of our lamestream media. And MSNBC, they need to get slapped upside their head. They got the audacity to fact check the RNC convention in real time, but they didn't do that for the DNC, Mr. Ivey. And that's what I mean by the lamestream media. Trust will verify everything.
Well, Fox News did that, didn't they?
Mr. Ivey, MSNBC was over the top, Nate.
I'm just saying. I mean, Fox News fact checked the DNC.
Little stuff.
And MSNBC is going to fact check the RNC. It seems like it's fair.
No. Fox was not doing what MSNBC did. Ask
sure?
Nathan Mahler or ask Kev on the sale.
You sure?
Because I know they watched it.
You sure about that?
No, they didn't do that. No, they didn't.
Okay, so what's wrong with fact checking?
Hannity has his own show. Okay, so of course he's going to do it, but I'm talking about the Brett Bears and the Martha McCallums, the actual news people that covered the convention. They weren't doing it like MSNBC.
I'm sure they were.
Was doing.
I'm sure I find it hard to believe that they weren't fact checking. I know Chris Wallace fact checks Trump, so they fact check everybody.
Well,
I think you're being unfair with that. Fox News was fact checking the DNC, and MSNBC and CNN were fact checking the RNC. It is what it is. That's a small issue.
Okay, so
the real issue is whether or not they caught any lies. That's the bigger issue.
For what? They've been calling the man a liar forever. They weren't fact checking him. They were fact checking the people that were given their life experiences.
Right. They should be doing that.
Fact checking, but they were fact checking the TV, the political ads.
And
they weren't. Mr.
What's the problem with it?
In the DNC, Mr. Ivey, in the DNC convention, they were saying false stuff. That's what. Okay.
Really? I don't remember what false stuff did they say at the DNC. I'm sure they did, but I just don't remember it.
Okay, Mr. Ivey, let me just say this about politics. Okay. In politics, it's not about the truth. It's about what people will believe. Okay, we all know that. You have to be naive to think that politicians are virtuous to just all they do is tell the truth. By nature, you're a politician, you can't. You have to exaggerate. You have to use what do you call that? What do you call those type of adjectives? You know, you got to use that stuff. And we all know that it's not about this is true or not. It's about what people will believe. So, again, Mr. Ivey, like I said, last night for night 1, 7, they'll probably get better tonight. But you wait for those black heavy hitters, Mr. Ivey, because the Republican Party, they coming for the monolith. So that's all I got, sir.
That's all I
want to
need.
let somebody else get in. And you keep doing what you're doing, Mr. Ivey. I'm looking forward to the late night show. And I didn't hear the time, but if you come on at what time is your late night show going to be aired?
I'm looking at 10 p.m. right now.
Okay, so if you at 10 p.m., Mr. Ivey, that's perfect out here on the West Coast. That's 7 p.m. So, hey, I will be following you, sir.
I appreciate it.
Like I said, Mr. Ivey, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Drop Squad 52, dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. Me before we in 2020.
I know people don't like Drop, but I like the guy. I'm sorry. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Let me see here. A couple things I want to talk about. So I'm reading, let me talk about politics. This is local politics to greater Cincinnati area. I'm reading that there's been a big endorsement in a local race here. A big endorsement in a local race. Have you heard about this endorsement? It has everything to do with the Hamilton County Sheriff's race. Now, of course, in that race, you got two candidates. One candidate is Bruce Hoffbauer, who refuses to come on this show and speak with me because he's mad because I broke the story about how he killed an unarmed black man. His people tried to lie on me online and say that I was lying on Bruce, but then he goes on local radio and confirms everything I said. So clearly he was just in his feelings because somebody had the nerve to break the story. Okay. And then after I broke it, other folks, Inquirer, started picking up on it. And he's running against, and again, to me, you got to get out of your feelings as a leader. And the way that you act during the campaign gives us an indication of how you're going to act if you become the leader. So what we can tell from Bruce Hoffbauer is that if he's elected sheriff, that he's going to ignore voices that he don't like, that criticize him, that try to hold him accountable in favor of paths of least resistance. To me, that's bad leadership. That's bad leadership, in my opinion. And of course, his Democrat challenger is a woman who has been willing to come on this show. She talks to everybody, and I think that says something about her. Okay? I'm talking about Charmaine McGuffey. But within the last, I'd say, 24 hours, I'm looking at the press statement right here. Jim Neal has endorsed Bruce Hoffbauer. And I want to read to you. Matter of fact, I can put this up on the screen. I want you to see this. This is kind of hilarious. I mean, this is the reason why I guess the Democrats decided not to endorse him, is because they could see this was who he was. And I guess this is sour grapes. It is what it is. Let me see if I can put this on the screen for you. Hold on a second. Let me take that off of here because it's definitely not the Dope Chick Show. Check this out. There it is. There, can you see that? That's a media advisory from the Charmaine McGuffey campaign. Let me read this to you. It comes as no surprise. Jim Neal lost to Charmaine McGuffey by 50 points in the primary. He was stripped of his Democratic Party endorsement. He spends his free time at Trump rallies. Voters in Hamilton County have made it very clear they don't trust Jim Neal to run the sheriff's office. In November, they'll make it clear they don't trust Bruce Hoffbauer either. We wish Jim Neal the best in retirement. That's hilarious. So Jim Neal endorses Bruce Hoffbauer. And, you know, it is what it is. I'm not sure if these endorsements are going to matter. And it's quite interesting that Jim Neal, who, as I understood, was a Democrat, decides to get all sour grapes with it and to endorse the Republican candidate. But there was a lot of complaints that he was like an undercover Republican anyway, because when Trump came to town, he ran and had to be a part of and wanted to be in the same presence as Donald Trump, and people took some exception to that. So I guess this is a clear indication of, you know, what it is. Now, how much is this going to boost Jim Hoffbauer's chances of becoming Hamilton County sheriff, which I think will be absolutely terrible for black people? I think it says something about Bruce, his reluctance to talk about the issues in an environment in which he's going to be held accountable for what he says. You know, I'm just saying it is what it is. It's quite interesting. We wish Jim Neal the best in retirement. That is hilarious. So here it is. I mean, you know, politics is what it is, man. It makes for strange bedfellows. And I guess Jim McNeil was like, psh, I'm sorry, not Jim McNeil, but Jim Neal was like, psh, bump the Democrats. They turn their back on me. I'm going to turn my back on them. We'll see what happens. 513-873-7134. Also, let's talk about ShotSpotter. We're spending a lot of money on ShotSpotter, but is it really worth it? I read this article this morning. Cincinnati police have identified a 27-year-old woman who was fatally shot in Avondale on Monday night. Condolences to that woman's family. Paige Jones was shot in the 3500 block of Burnett Avenue after multiple gunshots were detected via ShotSpotter just before 10 p.m. And, is ShotSpotter really working? It doesn't seem like it's much of a deterrent because people are busting off 15 rounds like it's nothing. And I'm sure they're aware that this technology exists called ShotSpotter. Now, ShotSpotter is the kind of technology where if somebody fires a round, then the Cincinnati police will be able to use this highly sophisticated computer and listening system to triangulate and calculate where the shots were fired and then automatically send police to within 10, 15, 20 feet of that particular space. Okay. But what if you're in a moving vehicle? What if you're in a moving vehicle? And again, I have to look at the numbers, but if ShotSpotter is so effective, then why are people still busting shots and firing rounds like it's no big deal? What else do we need rather than ShotSpotter? And again, from what I understand, it's very expensive, like hundreds and thousands of dollars to put this in particular neighborhoods. But is it really working? Like, people who are deterred by going to jail because they commit a crime are still going to be deterred. Like, they don't need ShotSpotter. The vast majority of people are not doing these kind of crimes. It's the minority, the incorrigible crowd that don't give a damn. They don't care about ShotSpotter. They don't care about the police. They don't care about whatever, And why are there so many women? It seems like there's a lot more women that are becoming the victims of violence. Have you noticed this? I'm talking about the city of Cincinnati. Why is that? What in the hell is going on? What is going on with that? I don't get it. Let me see here. Ashley writes, great flows, Nathan. Good morning to you. Cassandra writes, hey, choppers. Puerto Ricans are Americans. I agree with you. King Cobalt writes, late night Nate, definitely calling in. Yep, it'll be something different. I talk about a lot of politics here day to day. That show will be different. That'll be about people and pleasure. Sharp writes, fix the internet. I'm up to date on all my bills. You know that. And I'm rolling with not your standard internet. I'm rolling with, some gamer business quality. So I don't know. I'll talk to him afterward. Sissy Tigers writes, Until Freedom is in Louisville, Kentucky today. Tamika Mallory and company marching and demanding justice for Breonna Taylor. Yeah, that's a really interesting organization, Until Freedom. I recently reached out to them for an interview. Haven't heard back yet. But I love what they're doing down there. You can go to their website. It's called Until Freedom. Man, it's a lot of pressure down there. You got Until Freedoms down there. You got LeBron James and other NBA stars that keep talking about Breonna Taylor. You got Oprah Winfrey that spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with billboards that's asking for the officers to be brought to justice. And yet nothing has happened yet. Yes, that's interesting. I like it. They got Breonna Taylor on the cover of Old Magazine. We'll see if all of this works. We'll see if this kind of pressure actually works. Like, when the entertainers get involved, does it really have an impact? We'll watch. We'll see together. Let me see. Good to see everybody. Angela writes to Cincy Tigers, my friends in Louisville have been updating me. It's about to be off the chain. It needs to be. Cassandra writes, Mary, Mary, God in me. Right, that's who it is. Mary, Mary, God in me. It's a dope. That's one of my favorite songs because to me it resonates. It's so true. The God is in you. The plan is in you. It's all here. You just got to dig deep enough and put the distractions out so you can figure out what it is. People get distracted with relationships. They get distracted with their jobs. I mean, how you going to give more to a job than you give into yourself? I don't understand it. I don't get it. Let me see. Sissy Tiger says she's thinking about heading down, right? Okay. Great. If you do, please live stream it. That'll be dope. Tracy writes, "Ish sounds personal today." It is. It is. I mean, that conversation with Dr. Corinne, I take that very personally. I think it's personal for everybody. That's how you live your best life. Wait, what's the conversation? Men talk about what women do and think again? I don't think it's that. I wouldn't say that. I would say just more. I mean, I just think that Dr. Corinne was sharing information that she's come across in her life for women. And I just chimed in just a little bit. Tracy writes subliminal, I guess. Sissy Tigers writes, "Wow, a strong mind, a soft ass." Yep, that's what we should teach our daughters. No, that's not what we should teach our daughters. I'm talking about the perspective of a man, from a man's perspective. I think we should teach our daughters to have strong minds and to drill down, to put the emotions to the side, and to put all of what society's telling you in these movies and Cinderella and these television shows, put all that ish to the side and drill down and figure out who you are. Remember, there was a story about, it was about 2 years ago, in which the whole story was about, the video was of this young black woman. And it was her graduation day. She had just graduated from college, just got her degree. And her boyfriend / fiance, I guess he became her fiance on that day, he popped a question to her on that particular day. I hit the roof. Wait a minute. Wait. Let's not mix too many things here. You know, the family, this young woman struggles to get through college. She should have her day to celebrate her personal accomplishment without this buster coming in trying to put a ring on her finger, trying to steal the show. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm teaching my daughter. I'm teaching my daughter to be an entrepreneur. That's number one. I just get a job and work for somebody. And I'm teaching my daughter to not get too caught up with some boy, with some dude. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you find somebody that you think is going to make a great partner, great. But you should have a path that's deeper, and you have a stronger connection to that path more than any dude. You know what I'm saying? The God is in you. That's what I'm teaching them. But as a man, that's from a man's point of view. I 100% stand by that. 100%. I know it may sound sexist, but I'm a man. I mean, what you want from me? It is what it is. Tracy writes, "Cincy, I'm going to teach my boys that BS." You're their mother. You should be teaching them different things. Maybe their father should teach them that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you. It is what it is. Angela writes, "Louisville is with all the smoke." I hope so. I love the protest. I love seeing people in the streets. I love when they go down to city council and I'm seeing these brothers down there stirring the pot. It warms my heart, makes me feel better when I see that. Like, oh, maybe we can really change the paradigm shift. Because sitting around being Cincinnati polite, being Louisville polite is not going to get it. It's not going to happen. Tanika writes, "Lord, he reduced us to a mind and buttocks." I mean, you know, it might be striking, but I'm just telling you. No, it is what it is. Let me see. Tracy writes, "Nah, find that strong mind, because if she's smart, she'll give up that soft ass." Y'all can run with it any way you want to. And as women, I can understand that you don't understand. But the fellas know what I'm talking about. Sissy Tigers writes, "I have no words." I get it. Believe me, I understand. Angela writes, "My friend was out last week until tonight. She is staying in tonight because she doesn't want to risk arrest before heading to the march in D.C. I love it. Sissy Tigers writes, "It's okay to be smart. Just make sure you have the soft ass to give your man." Yep. Women's empowerment communicated by men. I see y'all. See, y'all can miss. You can take it down any road you want to, Sissy Tigers. I understand it. Okay. But that advice is for men. Okay. You just happen to be listening to the show and heard that. But I understand that you could misunderstand it or misinterpret it. Ray writes, "I don't give a damn if he had a hand common. There was no excuse to shoot him in the back. And we need to quit with this. they need more training-ish. Well, here's what I would say. What I would say is that when I saw the video of the brother getting shot in Kenosha, Wisconsin, I didn't think that it was warranted. Okay. But I generally think that when I saw the brother down in Atlanta get shot, I didn't think it was warranted. What happened to Timothy Thomas, it wasn't warranted. You know, I rarely think that. You know, it's rare for me to think, okay, well, you know, he gets what he gets and it is what it is. What I would say is that when you're dealing with law enforcement and you on the side of the road and there's a dispute going on, is that 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to talk your way out of it. You're not going to be able to walk away from it. You're not going to be able to bully your way out of it. This is not going to happen. If you try to get loud and start wrestling with the police, you're going to open the door for other things to happen. I think that for brothers and sisters, when you're dealing with those kind of situations, you got to think with the end goal in mind. Now, I understand it. I get it. It's a damn shame that in these days and times, you got to get on your knees and yes, a boss and beg and plead. You ain't really got to do all of that. When you start walking away from police officers and going into your car, it opens the door for the police officers on the scene to interpret it as a threat. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it was justified. I don't think it was warranted. You know, if it was me in a situation, I might do something completely different. Okay. But I can hear what those officers are going to say. They're going to say he was reaching for something inside of his car. And so, you know, we got to be careful about how we interact with those situations. I'm going to say this again. As a black man or woman in this country, you have to be ready to go to jail at any moment, especially when you're dealing with law enforcement. You got to be ready to go to jail and get processed, get bailed out, have your day in court, because that might be a better alternative than you just going to bully past the officers. They're telling you to stop, whether you think it's right or not. I'm just telling you that in that moment, the courts, the law is on their side. It is what it is. They can be dead wrong. And in many cases, they are. In some cases, they dead wrong. But in that moment, the courts, the law has given them a lot of power, including the power to decide to use deadly force, is what we saw. Now, why did they have to shoot this? Why do you have to fire 7 shots at point blank range? That was unnecessary. That was unnecessary. But to me, even him firing the shots sort of buys into the rationale that his life was in danger, because as we understand, the officers are taught to keep on firing until the threat is no longer there, right? So I can already hear what this officer is going to say. He was reaching for something. I told him to stop. He wouldn't stop. My gun is out pointing at him. I can't understand why. Okay. He goes to his car. He's going to get in his car. I thought he was going to get a weapon and try to shoot me. Now, put yourself for a second in the officer scenario. Okay. You got a weapon drawn on somebody. They walking away from you and they going into their car. What are you going to think they're going to do? Are you thinking they're going to get in the car and just drive away peacefully? Or do you think because of the context, they're about to get a weapon and try to meet force? All I'm saying is, you know, even when the police are wrong, we got to be right. We got to think this all the way through and get out of our feelings and think about the long game and understand how the game works. You know what I'm saying? You're going to walk away from the officer, open up the door of the car, and then look like you're reaching for something, or maybe you're getting into the car. But in that context, I mean, how do you know the difference between reaching into the car and getting into the car? These officers not going to wait to figure that out. They're not going to do that. Now, does that mean that every officer would have used deadly force? Because I'm thinking, where's the taser? Use a taser. I mean, do the officers in Kenosha, Wisconsin have tasers? Use a taser. Use some chemical irritant or something like that. Why you got to shoot the man 7 times? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I would have used a taser on him before he even got to the car. You know what I'm saying? When I saw him heading toward the door, hit him with that taser before he can put his fingers on the doorknob to open it. But all I'm saying is you got to play the long game. You know what I'm saying? You got to play the long game. I saw this brother, was a video, we talked about it 2 or 3 weeks ago. This brother's in Walmart. Somebody falsely accuses him of stealing something. He gets all into his feelings. But I got a receipt. It don't matter. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Keep your mouth closed. Let them arrest you. Don't give them any more information or provocation or anything to use against you. Get processed, get out, go to court, deal with it then. That's what you do. The alternative is you can wild out. You can wild out, but depending on the circumstances or the law enforcement officials that show up, they might wild out with you. And we've seen it over and over. It ain't right. I ain't justifying it. I think it's dead wrong, but that's the game we live in. So all I'm saying is, Tracy writes, that's that men's midlife crisis works. I mean, there are some men that go through midlife crisis. I think there's some women that go through a midlife crisis. Yeah, definitely. And it's because they end up spending 20, 30 years doing something they didn't really want to do. And then they look back and realize, I could have done something different. That's why I say figure out who you are and do what makes you happy at the expense of almost anything else. You only got one life to live. That's what you should do. If you do that, you'll be happy. Brian writes, nothing else needs to be seen. Nothing he could have done leading up to that deserves 7 bullets in your back with his kids in the car. I hear what you're saying, Brian, but I'm just telling you. Police officer has the weapon drawn. You walking away from the police officer and you're going to get inside the car. You're going to open up the door. That opens up the door for him to use whatever force necessary because they feel as if their life is in jeopardy. And that's what I saw when I was watching the video. I'm thinking, why are you walking away from the officer? Just stop and you're going to have to deal with it now. It is what it is. And I'm not telling you to be a boy or be a slave or to get on your knees. I ain't telling you to do all of that. I mean, you can either walk to the police car and they're going to put you in the back, or they can carry you into the ambulance. That's what's going to happen. I think the officer overreacted, but I wasn't in that scenario. I'm just telling you. Be prepared to go to jail. Be prepared to spend a few hours out of your comfort zone, being uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Be prepared for that, because the alternative is you wild out and then the police wild out straight with you. And then somebody said, Drop said earlier, I don't know if you heard it, but Drop said that they perhaps found a weapon inside the car. They don't even need a weapon for that officer to escape. But if they found a weapon, knife, box cutters, it don't even have to be a firearm. That's all the jury needs. That's all the prosecutor needs for no charges. Oh, the officer was justified. I'm just saying. Angela writes, because the men always know best. You're right about that, Angela. Men do always know best from a man's point of view. Yes, from a man's point of view, men know best. And I think from a woman's point of view, women know best. 100%. Jessica, you crazy wild for that one. Oh, man. Tracy, y'all wilded out. Y'all wild. That's the first time you heard me say that. Y'all wilded out this morning. They is wilded out. That's hilarious. But it's so true. Angela writes, National Guard deployments, it's the nature of where we are in these times. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Candace Owens won't even be allowed to sweep up afterwards. I wonder what happened with that. She fall out of favor with somebody? What's up with that? I don't get it. Lady Candace should be allowed to do what she does. If Diamond and Silk and Candace Owens are heavy hitters, you must be playing in the Little League. I would agree. Heavy hitters. I mean, they're heavy hitters in terms of black surrogates for Trump, but there ain't a whole lot of them. I mean, that's the top of the food chain, right? when it comes to black female surrogates. I mean, this Diamond and Silk. I think Diamond and Silk was out there making money, and Candace was like, you know what? Psh, screw being a liberal. I'm going to go make some money. Did anybody see that video? It's a political ad for a black female that's running in the Baltimore district. Have you seen this? Oh my gosh, she goes hard at the Democrat Party. We might talk about that later this week. Super hard. James writes, good morning. Drop is an idiot. He diminishes your show, my brother. Really? I don't think so. Kardashian and K. Michelle have plastic bodies. What do you mean? Is he still there? Why? Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah, my son went to his kindergarten today. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm with you, but the wifey took him by herself. It was a big day, but I sacrificed for the family here, for my digital family. But he was all excited. Right before he walked out the door, he said, I'm excited and I'm a little nervous, Daddy. I'm like, okay, man. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh, that's hilarious. CG Dub writes, Nate, a woman can have a strong mind, soft earth, and cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but naked and still get played. So yawns, some men just want multiple win, period. Again, I have to spend more time on this. I'm surprised you guys are reacting this way because this ain't the first time I've seen it, but I understand it. Maybe it's the first time, said that, but maybe it's the first time I said it in a while. Maybe I'll circle back around and flesh that more out as to what I mean by that. But I 100% stand by that from the standpoint of a man. A strong mind and it's a great combination. The best combination, quite honestly, that you can find in a woman and I don't understand why y'all got a problem with that. How's that a problem? Many of y'all got that. And that's why you got men in your life now. So I don't see what the problem is. I think y'all trying to make something out of nothing, but I get it. We can have the conversation. I'm down with it. Sometimes you can speak the truth to people. They're like, he don't know what he's talking about. That's exactly your man in your life. Like if you got a man in your life right now, that's exactly why he's with you. More than likely. Go ask him. He'll tell you. It's the truth. Tracy writes, Jim Neal was supposed to endorse Bruce. I guess. Republicans stick together. I guess so. It's going to be interesting to see what Hamilton County does. Really, really interested on that particular race. Clumagic writes, the RNC have felons giving pre-written speeches last night. Okay. Pamela writes, Brian's still going to do the pole dance routine. Black Russia's in the house. What is that? Let me click on that. What is that? The alt middle. Are those wolves or owls? They look like owls, man. It's supposed to be wolves. That's hilarious. Good morning to you. Lord BR is here. Good morning, my dear Thunder. Yeah, it's good to see Black Russia. Rush called Harris a hoe, but clearly looked past the hoe in the White House. Melania is the most useless first lady ever. Wow, useless. Maybe. Clumagic, that's what I always say. She's very useless. Democrats are so ungrateful. Least had a stronghold on sheriff's office until Neal took over. Then Dems kicked Neal to the curb after putting sheriff's office in Democratic column. That's the thanks he gets? Hashtag alt middle. That's one way of looking at it. That's interesting. Angela writes, what's the stats on shootings 2020 year to date? That's a good question. I don't have that in front of me. I noticed is now fair game to call Kamala a hoe. Can't help but believe a white VP candidate wouldn't be disrespected that way. It lends to the idea that black women are hypersexual and promiscuous, black men as well, as if it happens any more or less with white women. I don't care, her business. But we didn't have to hear about the WAP Sarah Palin gave up. You're right about all of that. I'm with all of that. Speaking of WAP and white women, did you hear about the what's happening with the Falwells? Have you heard about this? Jerry Falwell Jr.? So Jerry Falwell Jr. has resigned from Liberty University. Okay. And then he backtracked. He's one of these white evangelical leaders that saw no problem with the actions of Donald Trump. That's because of power. Have you heard about what's happened within the last 2 or 3 days? Man, it's crazy. Apparently him and his wife had an entanglement with a pool boy. Yeah. He was the pool boy, then became a business partner, and he claims that he had a sexual relationship with Jerry Falwell's wife, Becky, with the good hair. Becky with the good wop, it seems like. Hold on, let me put this on the screen so you can see this for yourself. You don't think I'm making this up. Yeah, there it is right there. You see that? So this man right here was the pool boy, and he became a business partner with Jerry Falwell. Now, Jerry Falwell Jr. is one of these big time evangelicals. They love God, and nobody sins, and they forgive Trump of everything he's. And he claims that he had an entanglement with the Falwells. And by entanglement, he's claiming that he had a sexual relationship with Jerry Falwell Jr.'s wife, Becky, and that Jerry would watch. And this went on for 7 years. And apparently the story broke because I guess he was trying to, it's two sides of the story. So the Falwells are claiming that he was blackmailing them. And the business partner, his name is Giancarlo Granda. He said he started a sexual relationship with the Falwells when he was 20 years old. And these are big time white evangelical Christian types. And I believe them, quite honestly. It's just something about the Falwells that they always seem creepy and not authentic to me. I believe the dude, and honestly, I believe everything he's saying. Why would he make this up? People just make up these kind of stories on you. I don't believe it. I think it's true. And apparently he wanted to step away from some business deals, and the Falwells didn't want to let him do it. So he threatened them with coming out with this information. How about that? So if people want to talk about the hypersexuality of black folks, man, that's nothing more than a projection. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. So apparently Jerry Falwell, he's claiming that his wife had an affair and that it wasn't consensual and that he lost 80 pounds because of it and had to take a leave from leading Liberty University, blah, 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 blah. Here's another Trump supporter that's got some, let's say it's not good news surrounding him. This is wild. You see this? I can't make this up. So another entanglement. Looks like entanglement. So the thing of the 2020s. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, they want to talk about Kamala Harris being a hoe. They want to talk about black people being promiscuous. I mean, people like sex, black and white. Period. Ask the Falwells. Tracy writes, instead of talking about ShotSpotter, can we talk about the increase of black women being gunned down here? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm with you on that. I put the question out there. I mean, I'm noticing it. It's very, very noticeable that black women keep coming up in the city of Cincinnati. It seems like the numbers are through the roof. It seems like a higher percentage of the shooting victims are women, black women in particular. What's up with this? I'm telling you, we live in the last days in common sense, man. We really are. You got people like Tory Lanez out here shooting unarmed women. I mean, Megan Thee Stallion's running around in a bikini, gets shot in the foot by this dude. Something's up. I'm telling you, men today are not what they used to be. I don't know how to explain it. James writes, if someone is in a moving vehicle, they can still go to that spot and see if households or businesses have cameras facing that direction. Ray writes, I'm not for taxpayer dollars on ShotSpotter. Councilman Sunderman is highly in favor. At least that's what she said on WLW. Really? Why is she so in favor of it? Let me see. Mason Muller writes, smart and intelligent, Tracy. I'm cool with that. What's the alternative? I'm just saying, right. I don't see what the problem is. Shiva writes, Farwell is a hot mess. C. Taylor writes, 7 shots at point blank range into someone going the opposite direction. Shaking my head. I agree with you 100%. All I'm saying is that when you're dealing with a situation like that, the gun is already drawn on you. You walking away from the officer. You go to your door, the car door. You open the car door You open the car door. You either reach in and or you're about to sit in the car. In the moment, it's hard to judge what the difference is. When you do that, you open the door to give the officer who has the gun drawn on you already the excuse, the rationale to start pulling the trigger. I'm just saying. Like, what would have happened if that brother, instead of walking away from the officer and trying to get inside of his car, I know his kids are there, but at the point in which the officers are there with the guns drawn, it is what it is. You're way beyond walking away now. You can't walk away now. You got to deal with it. And it probably is going to end with you being arrested. And that's what it is. And if the officers are wrong or use the wrong procedures, you know what the next step is. You're going to have to get your day in court, get you a lawyer, get your case together, and go fight it in court. The opposite of that is what we saw. Oh, what is this? I like this. Oh, I like this a lot, man. Black men will vote in 2020. Oh, I like that. That's tight. Somebody just sent me an image here. Let me look it up. Black men will. I like that. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to check that out, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, somebody just sent me something that could be a future conversation on the show. I like that. Thank you. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that I think the officer was wrong. I think that what happened in Atlanta was wrong. I think it was dead wrong. I mean, if it was me as an officer, I'm trying to preserve life until I absolutely feel like my life is in jeopardy. But if that police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin, who shot Brother Blake, if that officer comes back and says, listen, we had the gun on him. You know, if you pull a gun on most people as an officer and tell them to stop, what are you going to do? Most people are going to stop. So I didn't know if he was on something or if he was about to go get a weapon and try to do something to me and my partners. As soon as he says that, it's a wrap and they're going to walk. That's what I see. And if they found a weapon, let's say a knife, it could be box cutters inside the vehicle. That's all they need for that officer to escape. Well, hey, officer, you did the right thing, because had he been able to get to his car, he would have used this against you. If Blake had stopped in his tracks, guns drawn on him, allowed himself to be taken into custody, we'd be having a different story right now. So I think two things can be true at the same time. I think obviously they've got a long-term relationship and they got some long-term history with the police, because for people to be up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, burning buildings, burning vehicles, damaging property, they're not doing that just because of that one shooting. They're doing that because there's a long-term, just like in the city of Cincinnati. You know, we had our Suck MC mayor, John Cranley, running around like, oh, these people are outsiders. It didn't happen here. Well, what he doesn't understand, or he fails to understand, is that the reason why people in Cincinnati reacted is because they've got issues with law enforcement and the government here. And so what's happening with, George Floyd was just a tipping point. That's the reality of it. So clearly they've got some issues up in Kenosha, Wisconsin that have yet to be addressed by the people. And that's the reason why they're in the streets. I bet you that. I bet you it's bigger than just this one case. It's probably the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back. It's like a series of issues. It is what it is. Meanwhile, states like Tennessee are passing legislation in preparation for certain types of protests that will invalidate your right to vote. I did see that. Yeah, thank you for all the people that post inside the Friends page. I did see that. I may talk about that in depth in a future show. Yeah. Oh, they're getting proactive in the South. Because in Tennessee, certain felonies, they bar you from the right to vote. So they want to classify certain types of activities that they've seen from protesters. And if you found guilty of that, they want to invalidate your right to vote. Think about how insidious that is. Chestnut checkers, they're playing for the big time. Jericho writes, I hope his daughter's not listening. We are more than just intelligence and ass. Well, my daughter's a child. I'm talking to grown folks at this particular time. And, ask your husband, Jericho. He gonna tell you the same thing I just told you. So what's the alternative? A weak mind? I don't understand what y'all got a problem with. Would it be better if I said that the best combination of the woman is a weak mind and a weak ass? That would be better? Come on now. Stop it. Hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying and not what you want to hear. What's the alternative? Why would a man want to be with a weak-minded woman? I'll wait. I don't understand that. There's not a black man in America that wants to be with a weak-minded woman. Right? Okay, then. So what's the argument here? I don't understand what it is. If you're with a black man right now, he ain't with you because you got a weak mind. He's with you because you got a strong mind. Exactly. In terms of the physicality of it, I mean, that is what it is. As a grown heterosexual man, I mean, hey, what you want me to say? A lumpy behind? No, we don't want that. So keep it real and 100. Jericho, go back and ask your husband if what I'm saying is wrong. And if he's honest, he gonna say, Nate's right. That's why I'm with you. Because you checked off those two boxes. What's the problem? Stop it. Stop it. That's funny. Tracy writes, we can't cuss, but we can demean women. Who demean women? What are you hearing? Y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop. Tracy, go ask your husband why he's with you. And he's going to tell you what I just said. Exactly. What man wants to be with a weak-minded woman? Hey, fellas, do you want to be with a weak-minded woman? Raise your hand if you want to be with a weak-minded woman. What man would choose to be with a weak-minded woman over a strong-minded woman? I know what I want. I want the latter. Give me a strong mind any day. So what are we arguing about here? Oh, it's the other side about it, the physical side. So what man doesn't want to be with a woman who doesn't match what he wants physically? What man want that? What's the problem here? Y'all just don't like me being direct about it, I guess. Or maybe you feel like I'm objectifying. You flip it. Ladies, do you want to be with a weak-minded black man? You don't, do you? You want a strong-minded black man. Exactly. Ladies, in terms of your ideal man or the man you chosen with, do you want to be with somebody who physically, his body doesn't meet what makes you happy? No, you don't. Exactly. So what's the problem? Y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop. Let me see here. Let me see. Thousands are expected to stream into D.C. Friday for a major march organized by Reverend Al Sharpton to protest police brutality. Will Biden and Harris be at the march? I don't know. They may. I don't know. To me, it's not a prerequisite for them to be there or not. If they're there and they speak, that'll be cool. And if they don't, maybe they'll do something via Zoom or some other kind of program like that where their voice can still be heard. I mean, you know, everybody's marching and going these things, but COVID-19 is still a reality. You know what I'm saying? You know, I understand media, you want to be there. I mean, I've gone to some things in the city of Cincinnati, not everything. Okay, but COVID-19 is still real. So there's going to be a lot of people that don't show up at the marches because they don't want to catch COVID-19. I get it. You see. So Tracy, again, to all the women that's got a problem with what I said about the two best qualities in a woman, aren't those the two best qualities in a man? Now, of course, you would change that. You ain't looking for no soft irons. You might be looking for something hard. Exactly. But what woman out there wants to be with a weak-minded man? Because if you do, I'd be curious to see that. So what makes you think a man wants to be with a weak-minded woman? What man wants that? What man with any kind of worth will want to be with a weak-minded woman? None. Zero. How's that a problem? That's a compliment. If you are that. So if you don't match that, then I can understand you have a problem with it, but y'all tight, y'all straight. Don't get self-conscious. Let me see here. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Somebody writes men's midlife crisis. Women go through midlife crisis too. Kim Kliak is trying to take Candace Owens' spot. Yeah, that's the woman you're talking about in Baltimore. Yeah, she went hard in that ad. She went super hard. She went hard, but what else does she have to offer? You know what I'm saying? I hear that a lot from black conservatives. Like, the Democrats don't care about you. Okay, so what is your plan? Your plan has to be more than the Democrats don't care about black folks. But that's all I really hear over and over again. So if the ideal woman is a strong mind and a soft arms, what's the ideal man characteristic? I mean, again, I think it's different for every person. You have to tell me. I mean, what is it? That's a good question. Majestic writes, men's midlife crisis, dating a woman half their age, is always about the booty. Could be trying to, I don't know. Some men date younger women. Some get a motorcycle or start dyeing their hair. I'm not sure what it is. Mike Jones writes, these cougars out here doing the same thing. Exactly. Right now, Trump's at 8% amongst black people. If he pushes that to 10 to 12, it's slow for Biden Harris. Really? We'll see if they can actually do that. Again, I remain unconvinced that Trump gives a damn at all. Lisa writes, in regards to what you said about women, as my grandmother used to say, eat the meat and spit out the bones. I get it. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Let me see. We got a call here. Let's go straight to the phones. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show. Hey, good morning. I'm not sure they hung up. They didn't want to get on. Thank you, Lisa. Some of the women in the chop shop acting like they don't know what time it is. Stop acting like, be real about it, is all I'm saying. All right, let me take a final break for the show, and then we'll come up in the program this morning. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. Now, let me give you a heads up throughout the rest of the week because it's time to get political. We've got political candidates calling into the show starting tomorrow throughout the rest of the week, okay? And I want to give you a heads up on what you can expect. So number one, we're going to catch up with Chris Wagner. He's running for judge. His opponent is Kurt Hartman. We'll catch up with him this week. We're also going to catch up with Denise Driehaus. I believe that'll be on Friday. All right. Got a lot of folks, Jessica Miranda, Pavan Parikh, Ann Floutman running for judge. So we'll catch up with Kathy Ingram this week as well. We'll also catch up with Jan Michelle Kearney, Derek Bauman, and Reggie Harris. All of those three are going to be running for city council. So we got a lot going on this week and into next week as well. Want to give you a bit of a heads up. Want to make sure you get as much information as possible as we make these decisions about who should lead. We'll be right back. This is the Nathan Ivey Show.
With the Bloomberg Black Business Report, I'm Donna Wilson. The U.S. population is 13% black. But just 4% of the venture capital industry is African American, according to the National Venture Capital Association. Only 3% of the influential general partners who lead investments are Black. Bank of America's racial and gender makeup of its Merrill Lynch Wealth Management unit has shown an improvement in diversity from 5 years ago. Black wealth managers now represent 4.5% of the bank's advisor population. Latino advisors are at 9%, and female wealth managers came in at 21%. And a new study by Lean In and SurveyMonkey finds more than 80% of white employees view themselves as allies to women of color at work. But only 10% of Black women and 19% of Latinas say they have colleagues who are strong allies in the workplace. That's your Bloomberg Black Business Report. I'm Donna Wilson.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified, marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder.
This is Zoe Wesson. What side of history do you want to be on? The right side, or one where Black people continue to be underrepresented in Hamilton County? Now's your chance to end 230 years of exclusion. In Charlie Winburn, we have a man that's received the Cincinnati NAACP President's Award, who fought on the Ohio Civil Rights Commission for 6 years, who received the Baptist Ministers Conference Community Service Award. Charlie Winburn has received the Southern Christian Leadership Conference Award and was honored by WDBZ The Buzz as Pastor of the Month. We know Charlie Winburn, and he knows us. He's the right man to put us on the right side of history. On Tuesday, November 3rd, vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
I am Charlie Winburn, and I'm asking you for your vote on Tuesday, November the 3rd, paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
You're listening to The Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
All right, just got a few more minutes with you this morning, family. Thank you for riding with me. I know we had some hiccups that I'll iron out. These are minor. Good morning to you. I'm reading in the Inquirer an opinion piece that was written by Betsy Sunderman. She was appointed, she's a Republican, white female, was appointed to city council after another white female Republican decided to move on and work for the Trump administration. And, you know, it's just the same old mentality from some of these folks, man. I mean, is it possible to get a Republican that's on city council that doesn't say the same old things? Her opinion piece, Rise in Violence Proves Police Need It More Than Ever. And, you know, to me, what's sad about it is that Betsy Sunderman is using the tragedy that's happening in our communities as an opportunity to score points with local law enforcement. That's all it is. Rise in violence proves police need it more than ever. You know, in this piece, she's talking about people's safety reimagined and that they wanted to defund the police. She wants everybody to know how she feels about the police. To me, she doesn't give a damn about the lives. Betsy Sunderman, in my opinion, at least in this piece, doesn't really care about the people. She's just trying to make some grand point about how we need police, and if we didn't have as many police, then it would raise the crime rate, which doesn't really make any sense. I mean, this logically doesn't make any sense because we've got 1,000 police officers now, but yet we got a rise in crime. So how many officers do we need in Cincinnati? 3,000? You know, this is the same old law and order. We need to spend as much of our budget on the police mentality that got us to this place in the first place. You know what I'm saying? It's the same old. Betsy Sunderman isn't thinking outside the box. She's just using the tragedy that's happening primarily in our community as an example to prop herself up as pro-police, to send a signal that she's pro-police. That's all it is. She writes, defunding the police would not lower crime rates, but would result in an increase in crime and violence in many of our Cincinnati neighborhoods. How can she say that with any fact base? Does she have numbers to back that up? Because logically speaking, if we continue funding the police at the same rates, then it's not going to lower the crime rate either. We got 1,000 police officers. Or nearly 1,000 police officers, yet it hasn't lowered the crime rate. Those are facts. She writes, I have been and remain prepared to fight against the notion of defunding the Cincinnati Police Department. I also believe that supporting law enforcement and advocating for safe and secure neighborhoods is not a partisan issue. Yeah, but what else do you believe, Bessie Sunderman? I mean, she goes on. The men and women in uniform in Cincinnati get up every day to sacrifice everything for our safety. Some of them do. Some of them are in it for the paycheck. Some of the men and women in uniform, we'll say men, get up and use the N-word against citizens. And then fight to get their jobs back. I mean, here she is talking about something that didn't even happen. People's safety reimagined. Well, they didn't get enough signatures to get on the ballot. So why are we talking about them? She writes, though People's Safety Reimagined failed to get their proposal on the ballot this year, we will be ready to support our police officers and advocate for safe communities if they attempt to get their radical proposals on a ballot in 2021. See, this kind of mentality on city council is part of the problem. I hope that she's not reelected just based upon this. Just based upon this one article, she ain't got no ideas whatsoever. Zero ideas. Her idea is to keep funding the police at the same old levels that we have been. And she's being intellectually dishonest. She thinks that we're stupid. She thinks that the readers of the Inquirer are dumb. Because most of us understand that when they talk about defunding the police, they're not talking about completely defunding the police. They're talking about reimagining how we fund the police. But here she wants to play the same old games. And, you know, I think she should be called out on it. I think Bessie Sunderman should be called out for this piece because, again, she's trying to use the pain and misery. Nowhere in this article does she offer any kind of solutions to what's going on. She just wants to use the pain and misery, the tragedy, to try to prop herself up as being pro law and order. The same old, same old. I can't wait to speak with Bessie Sunderman. I'll make sure I do that because nobody else will do it in the city. Nobody else is going to do it and hold her accountable. So I'll have to do it. I don't mind. Bottom line is on YouTube. He writes, was he going for a gun? We don't know. And that question alone is probably going to lead to the officer getting off. Bottom line writes, I saw a different angle video. Looked like the cops had him down on the other side of the car. I heard someone say he had a knife. Did he? I've heard the same thing. And I saw the video where they kind of had him down and he got up and walked away and tried to walk into the car. I'll say it again. You don't deserve to be shot for something when you don't really pose a threat. Why the officer shoot him 7 times? Well, to me, it lends itself to his argument. He shot him 7 times. I can hear it now because he was trying to neutralize the threat. And so the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. So the fact that he shot him 7 times, he'll probably use that in court and in the press to justify what he perceived to be a threat. We've seen this game over and over again. Again, I want to share with you, family, there is an opportunity for tactical training. If you already have your CCW license, we still have room available for you. Shout out to all the folks who've already registered. I appreciate it. Looking forward to getting on the range with you and learning more on how to use a weapon. If you already have a CCW, this opportunity is available for you on September the 5th, coming up in less than 2 weeks. That is a Saturday. Not this Saturday, but the Saturday after that, the first Saturday in September. We're all going to be out on the outdoor range. You can find the information on my Facebook page right now, but I'll run through it for you. The cost is $100 with a $20 security deposit that you can deliver via PayPal and or Cash App. You can Cash App Nathan Ivey Show. You can PayPal Nathan Ivey Show. Once I get that, I'll confirm and connect with you. The rest is payable the day of. $100 is the overall fee, which is a greatly reduced price for the tactical training. They're offering that as a special incentive for this audience. Shout out to Forte and Ride or Die gun training. Okay. 8 a.m. until 12 a.m. is the time frame. If you are interested, again, 8 a.m. until 12 a.m. is the time frame. If you are interested, you're more than welcome to join the crew. And again, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I got my CCW training with Ride or Die, and I'm glad I did. I know there's a lot of great instructors out there, not saying anything negative about anybody else, but I'm glad I did. I learned a whole lot, and I thought the brothers were 100% on point with what they were doing. 100%. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to getting out and doing more tactical training with them. Let me give you the location so you can decide as to whether, it's close to you or worth your time in the drive. The location is 6964 Township Line Road in Waynesville, Ohio. Again, Waynesville, Ohio, 6964 Township Line Road. Again, 8 a.m. to 12 noon. And looking forward to meeting you bright and early. I plan to be out there, of course, before 7. So you should plan to get out there about 7:30. That way at 8, we can hit the course and we can maximize the time we have out there. You can bring your own weapon, obviously. They're asking you as much as possible to bring your own ammunition. I'm going to double check with Forte today to see if they had enough for 5 to 6 people, but we've got 5 to 6 people already confirmed. So let me double check to see if they have more ammunition. What else? Again, September the 5th. This is not CCW training. This is the next step. This is tactical training. Okay. Learning how to be more proficient with your weapon, how to hit targets from different positions. And the only way you can qualify for this is if you already have your CCW. I know there was some confusion with that, but I want to make sure we know. Bring at least 200 rounds of ammunition. Listen, if you're interested in going and you need ammunition, let me know. I'll let them know. Perhaps they can procure some for you and you can purchase it from them the day of. Again, 6964 Township Line Road. And the time frame is 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Okay. I want to move beyond just getting a CCW. You need to be proficient in these particular emergent situations. All right, back to your chat. Let me jump inside the chop shop this morning. Where we at here? I didn't read a lot of comments from Facebook this morning. They were just difficult coming through. We had to put up like 2 or 3 different streams. Okay, I really appreciate you if you was able to follow along with all of that. And my apologies. I'll do my best to try to correct it. I see Kelly Prather's here. She writes, Dope, Dr. Corinne. Cleopatra Jones writes, yes, Nate. Whitney Houston said it best. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. It is. Jesse writes, Nathan, you should be a motivational speaker. I am. I do a show every day. Try to motivate the audience and beyond. Appreciate the love on that, Jesse. Meditation is a very powerful tool. And yes, Nate, it is a process of practice. Yes, it is. The first couple of times, it might be the first 10 or 15 times, you're going to fall asleep. You're going to get distracted. It's just something about the treasure that's inside of you that is parts of your own mind that fights against you to try to get to it. Meditation is one of the hardest things you can ever do. It's the hardest exercise you're ever going to do. It's harder than pull-ups. It's harder than running a marathon. It is super difficult to meditate. But once you get there, Once you get there, you're going to find the best stuff of your life. Thank you, everybody. C. Smith, Virgo, absolutely. Yeah, it did freeze up. I apologize. I mean, that's the last thing I want, because I want to have a great streaming experience for you every single morning. Kimberly writes, you were very clear and you advised to walk away if you were offended before you shared the lyrics. Yes, I was, Kimberly. I was very clear. And you talking about the WAP lyrics? Yeah, I don't know. People be on some BS, man. People be on BS sometime. It is what it is. C. Smith writes, WAP makes the world go round. Okay, I didn't know Corinne was an AKA. All right. Okay, I'm down with the AKAs. So the sound just improved. I didn't do anything different. I don't know what happened. Not Burlap and hey, Misty, good morning to you. I'm trying to read backwards here. Kim writes, it's like it's normal to kill black people. She writes, I'm mad as hell. I think if we're mad, then what we need to do is to build institutions, build businesses, build platforms that give us more black power and more control over the world that we see. I think the strongest thing you can do if you're a black person, if you're pissed off about this, then go be successful. Be successful in your entrepreneurial endeavors. Raise a strong be a successful mom, dad. Raise your children to be entrepreneurs, to be business owners and not just worker bees. You know what I'm saying? Engage in the local political process as much as possible. I know the national stuff is really important, but politics is most important when it's local. So whether you're in Kenosha or Louisville or Columbus or Cincinnati, get involved in the local political system and try to change it from within. And again, success is the sweetest revenge. Be successful. That's the best thing you can do. And teach people on how to deal with the police. Like I said, you're not going to win that on the side of the road, walking away, trying to bully the police and fighting them. You're going to turn up the dial. You're going to turn it up. And if you're about that life, okay. But if you're not, I would think twice about it. That's what I would say. But listen, family, I got to make a move. Again, sorry for the interruptions on the show today. I'll try to iron it out before the day and tomorrow. Tomorrow kicks off a lot more political conversations, so tune in every single day and see who we're talking about and see who we're talking to. And of course, I'll keep you up on the latest people, politics, and pleasure. It's the Nathan Ivey Show. And I'll talk more about Late Night Nate. Cincinnati needs a late night talk show. And I'm just the man to do it. All right. So have an excellent rest of your day. We'll talk again real soon. Remember our motto: winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. So stay winning and stay focused, and we'll talk real soon. I'm out.